Hey everybody, this is Travis with AmmoLand. Today we are looking at the Aero Precision EPC. EPC stands for Enhanced Pistol Caliber. And yep, Aero Precision has finally dived into the pistol caliber carbine game. Now when I say EPC, I'm not referring to this very specific gun you see here. I'm more or less referring to the upper and lower receiver. Now Aero likes to sell these builder's kits, and that's kind of exactly what the EPC is. You start with their upper and lower, and you can build the pistol caliber carbine you've always wanted. Currently, the EPC is manufactured for 9mm and 40 Smith & Wesson, but in the future we're going to see 45 ACP and the best millimeter, 10mm, in the EPC platform. Now it utilizes Glock magazines. We all know and love Glock magazines because they're affordable, reliable, easy to find, and made by a wide variety of manufacturers in a wide variety of capacities. Anything from 10 rounds to 33 rounders and 50 round drums even. Now the EPC uses a blowback operation system, which we've seen be very popular in PCC AR-15s. It seems to work very well in them. Blowback systems are a little bit rough too. You know, using the recoil of the round fired to throw the bolt backwards and cycle the weapon. Now, as such, it could be a little bit rough on the internals. So what Aero did was they beefed up the trigger pins for the EPC, make them a little bit more reinforced to take that abuse for tens of thousands of rounds. Now that's not all Aero's done to make this a little bit different than the competition. One of the biggest features I really love is the fact that this actually has a last round bolt hold open. Now a lot of PCCs do, but not a lot of PCCs that use Glock magazines do. So locking the bolt back is actually very easy to do, and it uses a very similar controls to a standard AR-15. You got your normal bolt release. Now what is different is that the bolt catch is actually in the upper receiver and comes pre-installed. You don't do that yourself, you don't ever take it out. It's there, it works, and it's very, very efficient. Now, last round bolt hold open not only tells you the weapon's empty, but also makes reloads a lot faster, and this thing is blinding fast to reload. So outside of just the last round bolt open, you have this massive magazine release. It's very easy to reach. Now, Glock mags don't lock in on the side like an AR magazine, they lock in on the front. So as such, the magazine release has to be way up here, but Aero wisely pushed it back here to make it easy to access and identical to a normal AR-15. Now again, we have a last round bolt hold open, we have a massive magazine release, we also have a flared magazine well. So that means getting that magazine in there is very intuitive. Taking your EPC from a box of parts and turning it into a rifle or a pistol, it's actually very easy to do, probably easier than most AR-15s. You know, we already have an integrated trigger guard for the lower. The proprietary magazine release is already installed, as is the last round bolt hold open. Aero was wise to take some features from the M4E1 upper and lower and infuse it into the EPC. Now this includes a threaded bolt catch that eliminates the need for a roll pin. It just threads on in. Very, very, very simple. We also have a threaded takedown pin detent channel, which makes installing this spring very simple into your lower receiver. It takes no effort at all. Just, you know, get the right sized Allen wrench and twist it on in. Whenever you introduce anything kind of new into the gun world, there's always these questions, is it gonna fail? Especially when we're talking proprietary parts. And you know, this gun's two big selling features, are its proprietary magazine release and that crazy last round bolt hold open. Well, if it's gonna fail, it's gonna take a lot more than the 870 rounds I've put through it, because I've yet to even see any wear. And that variety of ammunition includes some NATO plus P rounds, some JHPs that are plus P, some standard Winchester white box, and some dirty, stinking steel cased ammo. Winchester forged steel cased ammunition was the only one I ever ran into any real issues with, and I had a few hard primers. 4, I have to check my logbook to be sure, but I'm almost positive it was 4, that wouldn't fire in this weapon. The other rounds fired fine. I took those 4 rounds and I tried to cycle them through a Glock 17. Also, they would not fire in that weapon. So I think they met dud status or way too hard of a primer status. Other than that, I've yet to have any real failures to fire. And that includes using a wide variety of magazines. Now, when we talk Glock mags, again, we love them because everyone makes them, because we can find them anywhere at a wide variety of price points. So I utilized some Glock OEM magazines, I utilized KCI magazines, Magpul, ETS, and some Second Amendment magazines, and none of them caused any failures. Now, how the EPC handles is really going to vary on how you build yours. Obviously, a rifle like this is going to shoot very, very smoothly with very mild recoil and very little muzzle rise. When you have a 16-inch barrel topped with a compensator / muzzle brake, you get a very easy to handle weapon. If you were to go with a 5.5-inch barrel, for example, the recoil might feel significantly more because of less weight and less barrel. Now, overall, I found it to be super comfortable to fire. Even the blowback action's not as rough as you'd expect it to be. Again, that's because it's a full-size rifle with a very well-made stock. Now the EPC is compatible with almost every other AR-15 part on the market. As you can see, I got a Magpul, I got a Aero breech charging handle Magpul pistol grip, and a Atlas rail, and of course my 16-inch Aero barrel. Now, again, your proprietary parts, you're not gonna be able to switch those out, so you are stuck with this magazine release, you are stuck with that last round bolt hold open. But other than that, you're pretty much free to customize it any way you want. I do recommend being picky about your trigger because 9mm tends to be a little harder to shoot than 5.56. So we talked about hard primers a little bit earlier. You do need kind of a tighter trigger that has a little bit of a heavier hammer fall to make it all go bang. I found the stock Aero trigger to be more than sufficient. It's not the lightest trigger in the world, but it's got a nice short pull, a small wall before a very clean break. For an EPC, you know, your max range is going to be around 100 yards if you're a good shot, and you're estimating for anywhere from 10 to 15 inches of drop. That's good enough trigger for that. You know, you're not going to be taking this thing out to 300, 400, 500 yards. Now, I found the Aero EPC to be quite accurate and very controllable. When you combine the two, you get a weapon that's absolutely owns inside of 50 yards. If you're going to take this to like a USPA PCC match, it's the perfect candidate for a round like that. Now, what you are going to feel on the heavy side is your weight in the rear. You're going to have to use a heavy buffer to ensure the blowback action works reliably. So the only thing that affects is, yes, the balance of the weapon. It's a little more rear heavy, but that's perfectly fine. And also, when you go to charge it, you're going to feel a little bit more resistance due to that heavy buffer. Aero Precision could have just made another AR-15 and 9mm toss out on a flooded market and call it a day. But they didn't. They really did take their time. They made a very ergonomic platform with some proprietary features we don't see on other AR-15s chambered in 9mm. You know, they released it at a great time when 5.56 is tough to get, a lot more expensive than 9mm. This has occupied a lot of my rifle shooting as of late, and I've really come to love the rifle. I found it to be very accurate, very reliable, and just a lot of fun to shoot. It's a lot of fun for people of all ages and experiences. I've had both kids and new shooters handle this thing, and they've all kind of adored it. So if you're in the market for a PCC, you really couldn't go wrong with this. It's great. You can build your own, or again, you can buy your own, but to me, building is a lot funner. So until next time, I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, drop them below.